Gents, an expensive and humiliating day for St George Illawarra. Kenty, what has happened?
Yeah, look, Von, we believe this is the biggest sanction the NRL's ever taken against players. $305,000 in total in fines against the players. $50,000 to Paul Vaughan, which is the most he can be fined. He's been served with an 8-match suspension. Every other player's been served with a 1-match suspension. We see that on the screen there now. And to get to your point about how embarrassing and humiliating this is for the club, Paul Vaughan was fined $50,000, 8 weeks for withholding information. There's been an attempted cover-up here by the players. They've been outed on it. But the players got to the point where, when the police arrived, Jack de Belin was hiding under a bed.
Are you serious?
Serious. So to try and make out as if they did initially that they cooperated and all the rest of it, and we know of blokes shooting out side doors and running down the streets, but...
Yeah, look, Kenty, I had heard that a couple of players had hid in cupboards.
I believe that's true as well, Buzz.
Or a wardrobe, but
yep.
Jack de Belin under a bed.
Hiding under a bed, yeah. And that didn't come to light, I believe, till later, and there was an attempted cover-up there to try and hide Jack.
So the cover-ups rank...
Yes.
In terms of Jack de Belin. And for someone who's only 4 games back into a career that he nearly had taken away altogether, now he's hiding under a bed and at someone's house where he shouldn't have been at all.
Yeah.
Is he worse?
The optics are awful.
Can I take you through Jack de Belin and what happened from last night? He wasn't originally tracked down by police because, as you said, he was under a frigging bed. Can you believe it? The integrity unit caught up with him on Sunday night, last night. They rang about 7 o'clock. They said, were you at that party? He owned up, he fessed up. Didn't say where he was hiding. That's come out with further investigations. This morning, he rang Craig Young, former detective, long-time St George official, said, I was at the party, gave himself up. Craig Young then rang the police. The police then rang Jack de Belin and said, you fined $1,000, will be in the mail. And that's how it unravelled. I don't think St George covered it up. I think the players have covered it up.
The NRL found no wrongdoing by St George Illawarra Football Club. So the club
But certainly
was
the
fine.
players were colluding to try and smother it as best they can and not make it look as though as many were in attendance. Von, there's a Dragons board meeting tomorrow morning. Paul Vaughan's clinging on by the skin of one. Like, he's that close. There's no question whatsoever. Tearing his contract is going to be discussed. Whether they follow through or not, we'll wait and see tomorrow. But definitely, that is on the agenda.
Because there's only 8 games until finals for the Dragons. Unless they play finals, Paul Vaughan's suspended for those 8 games. Given his track record now, with 2 severe breaches in the biosecurity, it's likely that he could have played his last game for the Dragons.
Look, it's every chance. He's on a rich contract. It's nearly $800,000 a year. Now, when he signed with the Dragons, he signed for 5 seasons. The 5th year was an option in his favour, which he's already taken up. But that, right here, right now, that's in jeopardy.
With Jack de Belin, again, front and centre of a scandal for this club, is he worth the risk? Is he worth the hassle that comes along with Jack de Belin?
Certainly talent-wise he is, but look...
For your culture.
The concern for the Dragons is this, as to your point, he's 4 games back into a career that he'd been 2.5 years out of for other matters, and already he's put himself in this place, $42,000 fine and a week's suspension. The Dragons have got between 2 and 4 weeks. They've got the next round they've got to buy. So none of those players. And I spoke to a couple of people at the NRL today, and I said, why are they not all just serving it at once? And I kind of get it. The NRL thought was, one, they didn't want to rip off the fans, all the rest of it. But significantly, this can be worse than the Dragons. And if they'd all... Next game's against Manly, OK? So after Origin. So they go up against Manly. If all those players run available, they practically run out of a reserve-grade side. The game is just a write-off. But they've got 3 games. But they've got the Manly, the Titans and the Rabbitohs to stagger those suspensions out. Now, that's at least 4 players in every game. And if you saw remember what happened to Canterbury on the weekend? I know Canterbury are a different kettle of fish than the Dragons, but they had 5 out and were never in the contest.
But, guys, this, and to your question, Vonnie, can rugby league or St George accommodate Jack de Belin? I think it's a bigger issue. I think their culture stinks when you put de Belin in with Vaughan and you throw Corey Norman into the mix, I think the three of them there is bad news for St George. And I think the board meeting you're talking about, they need to do something about that, Jimmy, and that includes Corey Norman.
Well, I'll tell you one bloke who you can guarantee will be chewing nails and spitting them out is the coach. Yeah. He's a hard taskmaster. He's a hard style of a character. He's not going to tolerate this type of garbage.
Jimmy, I spoke to him today and it was off the record because he can't, during investigation, publicly talk. You know, he's a tough man. He's shattered. He's shattered that his players who have worked so hard against the odds to get themselves into contention have so foolishly stepped out of line like this.
But they had a 1-point win Friday night, which got them into the 8. They're currently in 7th position, but the teams in 8th and 9th are both on the same competition points. So they finally worked their way to the promised land. Now it's in jeopardy. Their season's in jeopardy here. And see...
They put the whole competition in jeopardy.
That's the thing, Hoops. There's a lot of people at home who some people are sitting there going, well, hang on. Like, did they really do so much wrong? OK. But the NRL is currently at high-level negotiations with 3 state governments about getting exemptions in and out. Now, this has become such a political hot potato for governments now in that the exemptions, the unrest, the upheaval they're causing all these people is so emotional and it's so traumatic for so many people. So to get these exemptions, they need absolute certainty that the players are going to behave.
And these people highlighted here have put the competition...
Well, this is their last game. This is their last game, and all those green names there are now unavailable in at least one of the next 3 games.
So Dragons CEO Ryan Webb called the 13 players' conduct arrogant and ignorant to both the NRL biosecurity protocols and the state government's public health order, and says it's upsetting and infuriating.
And to Herb's point, we'll see the ramifications of that tomorrow after their board meeting, because, look, you don't want to overstate the importance of what's happened here, but the fact is the NRL went into lockdown last year. They had to renegotiate broadcast deals, stadium deals, sponsorship deals. When they came back, they said to the players, you've got, was it a 6% pay cut, I think, which at the time was a miracle that that's all they suffered, given so many people had lost jobs and were out of work. And that's what they're trying to save this year, and it was all in place. Now, if there's going to be blowback from the state governments, where they're not allowed into Queensland, or they're not allowed, Melbourne aren't allowed to travel, the whole competition comes to a grinding halt,
Kenty,
and we all have to renegotiate the whole lot.
You know what goes even broader than that, because you saw Canterbury without 5 players against Manly on Saturday. 66 blot, right? So St George are going to play Manly, same circumstance, without 4 or 5, whatever they choose to do. Then they play the Titans and they play the Bunnies. They are penalising every rugby league fan who likes to sit in front of their television and watch edge-of-your-seat sport.
And they're particularly penalising the Dragons fans, who are among the more passionate following the club. But it's
all fans.
Buzz, we all, at this time, we all like a beer. We all like watching the football. We all love getting together. But
please don't
on Saturday, I'm not, Phil, relax. Good. I'm not, okay? On Saturday, right, when you consider all the people that are out of work at the moment, that have either lost jobs, that are having to sit down, that are having to work from home...
The Warriors haven't been home
under these
for 2
conditions,
years.
right? The word arrogance, I don't think it's strong enough. It's just self-entitlement to the nth degree. It's out of control.
The other concern is this, and some people say, again, did they really break any biosecurity rules or put anyone at risk?
Because they're already in a bubble. They already play together.
They're in a bubble,
only went
they play together.
Someone's house.
But, Vonnie, they turned up carrying slabs of beer. Neighbours have said that. How were they getting home?
But they're not allowed to.
They're calling Uber.
They're allowed to go out for essential services, full stop.
Yes.
They can't see their mums, most of them, their dads. You know, good on the... Can I give the NRL a rap here? You know, under Todd Greenberg, an inquiry like this could take a month. I'm telling you, it could.
It would, yeah.
They dawdled.
What are one of your men, Todd?
Oh, James, be quiet. It took 24 hours, right? And they've nailed these people. And you know what? I think they've been very fair and they've handled it well.
Were you shocked at the amount, how steep it was?
I said this morning in a radio thing I did that I would give the ringleaders and the people with history, Paul Vaughan and Corey Norman, 6 weeks each. So they've gone heavier with Vaughan.
Yeah. Well, he organised it, and that's what they found in the inquiry, that he organised it, had him back to his place.
Yeah, Corey Norman's lucky to get a week with his history.
Yes, he is.
Is that it? Is this time out for Corey Norman? Will he?
Well, Corey Norman's off contract. The Dragons 2 weeks ago were all saying poor Corey because they told him he was not wanted for next year. He's trying to shop himself.
You can't. Well, it'd be extraordinary if he got another NRL contract.
I don't know what he does. Look,
if you're in the shop front window and you're still getting in trouble.
There will be someone desperate who will pay him decent money. There will be.
Yeah. What about the impact on this competition? If you're every other NRL team and you're looking at what went down here, is it a wake-up call about how serious this situation is?
It's a warning shot for sure. I think the rest of the competition, I'm sure a lot of players are looking on and thinking, what about these blokes? What are they thinking? But there's no doubt, if anybody else steps out of line on the back of this and the $300,000 plus fine, well, they shouldn't play again.
I tell you what, it's a bonus for Cronulla, Newcastle and North Queensland, who are all 2 points behind trying to get the 8. They're all sitting back saying hallelujah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So a heavy day for the Dragons.
Look, it's going to have major ramifications. Look, I dare say after this, everybody's now going to cop the tip, OK? But it's sad that we've had to come to this, but I wish sometimes people would get to these guys and say, listen, this is the bigger picture. Like we all sit here and we talk to the NRL personally in phone calls, and they express to us the importance of getting these exemptions and being able to continue. And I've said to the NRL, what if someone accidentally catches COVID, brings it in their team, 4 or 5 players, they lose out of their team? No, I wasn't thinking of this scenario. And I said, do you cancel that game? Do you defer that game? The NRL said, we can't afford to. There's so much invested in putting the product out for the broadcasters each week who pay 80% of NRL revenue. Let's remember that 80% of the billions that come into the game comes from the broadcasters. They said it's too important to keep the games going every week.
Yeah.
That's what's at risk.